This episode is rated M for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of the PFC Entertainment Network or any of the affiliates that make this show possible.
This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
This is Creepy Soup on the PFC Entertainment Network.
Bitch! Hi! Welcome to episode 136 of Creepy Soup, brought to you by the PFC Entertainment Network. I am Jill.
I am Judi the Hump Trophy.
And welcome. Thanks for coming back. That's your fault.
But we love you.
We have had the sickness.
Emphasis on down with the sickness.
So down.
So down.
I wonder if we'd get in trouble.
What?
We could have Alexa play it.
No.
Yeah, I know we talked a little bit about it last week, where you had it really bad, and then Obs got it really bad, and then I missed a couple of days from work, and then Bentley got it really bad, and then this bitch gets it again, and somewhere in there, Aubrey didn't get sick, but she didn't feel good for a day.
Yeah.
And now did Mike tell you, he walked out of the bathroom today, and I handed him cough drops. Like, dude, I can't fucking take your hacking anymore.
Yeah.
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 So
it's bad. It's horrible.
Everyone is now on the upswing. I think even your brother had it.
Yes, but he's still kind of mid upswing.
Yeah,
he's still out.
Yeah, he's climbing.
Got no problem farting though.
Do you want to share your good news?
Okay, so a few years ago, back in 2021, I had COVID, and then after, it was gone, they say that you lose your sense of smell and taste when you have it. Yes, that is true, because it happened to me. But after I was done being sick, I got my taste buds back and my smell back. Well, I want to say like April or May of last year, of 24, I lost my senses again. Just out of the blue for no reason. And after just getting done being sick again, did not have COVID though. I can smell and taste again, and I cried.
Yeah,
I know,
she come running in here. She's like, "Mom," and I'm like, "Smell all the stuff I gave you."
And it's like I feel stupid crying about it, but it's just to
No, that's huge. After
not
that,
have your senses for so long, and then just randomly getting them back again. It's just
don't question
gives
it.
this
Just
weird
knock
feeling.
on wood and just
yes.
Like because do you know how many times I know she can't smell, but you smell this shit.
I just give you that look like, really, bitch.
Yeah, it's been a whole thing.
I know my resident, she'll fucking do that constantly, and then I'll just look at her like, really? She's like, oh, I forgot.
Yeah, you do forget when you have the ability to taste and smell. You forget sometimes, or it's just an automatic response on my side when I get like a candle or something that smells really good.
I'm just hoping.
I got one from Debbie for Christmas, and I'm like, ooh, smell this.
I'm really hoping
It stays?
it stays.
Hopefully.
I was a little worried there for a second when Mike had me smell his cologne, and then I couldn't smell anything until I smelled him, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I never smelled that one before. It was pretty
Yeah, it's, I'm glad you got it back.
I'm just...
Because now when I say smell this, I won't feel stupid.
Fingers crossed. But that's not telling, like, is it going to be that way for everything?
Hopefully.
That's the question. Because I could smell my Dove, but that shampoo and conditioner stuff you gave me, I could not smell it.
Yeah, I don't think it has a really strong smell. So
and I couldn't smell my other shampoo I had Mike bring me. I couldn't smell that. So it's like, I don't know if it's like touch and go.
Yeah, maybe it's... It'll get better.
Fingers crossed.
So, I know I had complained about having that crappy job that I was forced to at work. Then I put in for one and I got it. But now I'm afraid to go see Julie because that job's fucking up my thumb really bad.
I know, I didn't even look at your nails yet.
They're gorgeous.
Ooh, I like those. Very girly. Wait, why are they hearts and not dicks?
I don't know. Trust me, we got neon, glow in the dark coming soon, and we got dicks or balls coming soon. And yesterday, because obviously in the last couple episodes my bangs have been down to here, I went and got a haircut, and I made an appointment for Ben, and I'm sorry I didn't even ask you first. I just
Do I look mad?
I just couldn't anymore with... He had this one piece of hair in the back that when he moved, it made me irrationally angry. Every time I looked at it, just...
Irrationally angry? You're so stupid.
And I've been going to the same hair girl for probably 4.5 years now, and I love her.
I like it when he runs and it would like pop.
Oh God, nope. That's when I would get irrationally angry. Like anytime that little lock of hair had a life of its own, where I thought it could be alive, I would just
like a comb over.
Oh, it was terrible. I fucking hated it. It's gone now. And she even because she did the styling of his hair. And she brought this thing out, and because she had asked him, do you have gel at home? And he was like, no, but I was going to the Dollar Tree. I would have bought him some. So she brings out this stuff of like hair paste. And she's like, do you have a purse? And I said, no. She said, do you have a pocket? And I said, I do. So she's like, put this in your pocket. So she gave it to him. So he's got, I'm sure it's expensive because it's the salon stuff. So,
yeah. Remember that one stuff that you had gotten? You got both the boys' haircuts. Mm-hmm. And you got this really expensive blue stuff.
That pomade.
And it smelled so, so good you wanted to eat it.
Yeah. Well, the stuff she gave, like, because it's a paste, so you gotta, like, scoop it out, like, warm it up in your fingers before you comb it through and do the styling. Oh, it smelled, I could smell it from where I was sitting. It smelled really good.
I know. Ben made me smell his hair. And I could smell it.
It didn't smell good. That stuff smelled really good. So Beth is a miracle worker. She not only lopped off that hair, but because of how short we've been cutting his hair, she was like, you can't tell. Stop it. You can't tell that it's... Stop it. It looks like it's blended, but it's not. She's a miracle worker. So, yeah, my nail girl, my hair, I'm going to fucking... You're not going to be able to smell again. And you're going to wheeze when you breathe.
I do that sometimes already. The fuck? It's not going to be any different. So,
yeah, that's... Yeah, that's fun. So Ben and I both have haircuts. The sick, the ick, all of it. Thankfully we're like I said, seeing the other side of that.
Yeah, as long as if all the bedding and shit is able to get washed, so we can wash it out of here.
Yep. Yeah.
Makes me want to fucking wash the walls and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Open up all the windows. I don't give a fuck if it's smack dab middle of winter.
Well, we got 40 degrees coming up, so maybe we could do that a little bit then.
Just a crack.
Yeah, I know, I was thinking that the other day. I'm like, we need some fresh air in this bitch. But, you know, when it's 8 degrees.
Or below.
Yeah. So, what I have decided to do, and oh my god. Okay, so we came to the network at episode 100. So we do have 99 other episodes, plus a couple of bonus ones, that they're good. They're really good episodes, but it was before I got my good microphone. And my sound quality on my side, it sounded like, you know how when you're watching TV and they're talking to someone on the phone and you could hear the other person through the phone, that's what I sounded like on my end. Because I was listening to it today and I'm like, oh my god, how did this one even have 23 listens? Like, this is terrible. So what I have decided is redoing some of these episodes.
I've already redone one.
Yep, you redid the Lizzie Borden one, and that was
Very popular.
a very good one. And this one was all the way to episode 4.
Oh shit.
So like 132 episodes ago. That we had did this one. Because excuse me, because it talks about there's so much paranormal surrounding this one, but you can't find anything on the paranormal. So I had covered the true crime, and the former co-host had covered the paranormal, which there was really nothing. And that was like no fault of hers. That was just, there's really nothing. All it is there's someone that has that apartment on the tour. And how insensitive the lady that runs the tour was really all you could find when it comes to the paranormal.
So is it something that maybe you would have to go yourself to experience, if anything?
That would be my guess. Because like I said, there's no
real solid evidence, like she doesn't, the person doesn't allow like photos or video.
I don't know. This was like almost a long time ago that this episode was covered. So it had to be like May of, I don't know, whenever the fuck we started this shit. 22, I believe. Because, like I said, it was our episode 4. And so I figured, because we do have a wider audience now, some of these cases that were really good, I wanted to, well, there's no real updates to this one because it's
just to revisit, maybe put a different, better spin on it.
Yeah, because, episode 4, I was still new at this. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Some days I still don't, just to be fair. So we are going to redo the episode of Zack and Addie. Some of it I remember. I rewrote some notes. I have the website that I used in the previous episode, which also in the previous episode, I had listened to one of the podcasts I like is Southern Fried True Crime. Mm-hmm. Have you ever listened to it?
No.
Oh, I love that one. It's just, she's by herself. And okay, so I listened to one that went from 2 hosts to 1, and that didn't fare well because she still tries to make a joke, or like, I don't know.
But there's nobody there to joke with her.
Right. And, she still does really good with her stories, but Southern Fried True Crime has always been just one host, and she just, reads it, and she's straightforward, not boring. And most of her cases take place in the South. But she did a 2-part episode, a real deep dive, which I did not do a real deep dive on this case. But if you want to, I would have to look up what episodes it was. But she did a two-parter on Zack and Addie. And like I said, I could only get a few minutes into it. I couldn't listen to me anymore. Like, I just couldn't fucking do it. And so some of the information came a little bit came from that, and then GhostCityTours.com has a whole write-up on Zack and Addie. So let's trauma bond with some strangers and talk about Zack and Addie. Okay?
Take a Xanax.
Huh? I don't want to take a Xanax. I want a trauma bond. Okay, so again, this is a redo of episode 4 of Creepy Soup. So the redo of Zack and Addie. We're going to start out with a little bit of background on each of them before we get into the toxicity that was their relationship. So Addie has been described as like feisty, like an independent artist, a free spirit, feisty tempered. And she found herself in New Orleans after
I always wanted to go there.
Same.
Let's go.
It is going to New Orleans is definitely on my bucket list. Definitely on my bucket list. But she found herself in New Orleans after a rough life, like in the Northeast. Doesn't say exactly where, just says Northeast. Addie was also a poet, a dancer, very artistic in many
Talents.
many little areas. Poet, dancer, artist. Okay.
Jack of all trades.
Now, I do remember in the original episode, I describe her, she's like this small little petite thing, and really all she's missing, like, she's one step away from being a fairy. She just needs her wings. She's just so little. And that's what she reminds me of, just like this little fairy that is just short of her wings and like maybe a little crown or something. She's just adorable. Oh my god. Shh. Sorry if you can hear them. We have roommates. Okay. So, huh?
All over there.
Okay. So, due to the abuse she suffered, she was very wary of relationships with men. She was a bartender at a spot called the Spotted Cat. Doesn't say if it's a bar, club type thing. She's a bartender, so we'll go with bar. Stop it. She called herself a Puerto Rican, which that's what a Puerto Rican, which is, I wrote it down, someone who lives and belongs in the French Quarter.
French Quarter.
And she fit right in, and she was trying to find herself while battling addictions. So now we have Zach Bowen. I don't know if I said...
What kind of addictions? You gotta be more specific.
We'll get to it.
Oh, okay.
We gonna get to it.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna get to it. And I don't remember if I said her full name. Her full name was Addie Hall. And now we're gonna discuss Zach Bowen a little bit. He's been described as charismatic, good-looking, charming. He left like an impression on everyone he met. Growing up in California, he had like a laid-back attitude because like the beaches and like I guess maybe a surfer dude.
Dude.
Yeah. So he marries a woman that is 10 years older than him, and I don't have their ages. I'm sorry.
I'm not mad.
Yeah. Yeah, I know they were, I want to say they were in their 20s. This sounds about accurate. So him and his wife have 2 children together. Now, I am not going to name his wife. I'm not going to name his children. They're still alive, and I want to protect their privacy a little bit. It is out there. If you want to look it up, go ahead. But I'm not going to give you that information to protect them, you know.
Right. But I mean, if it's out there, it's out there.
Yeah, it's out there. So in order to provide for his wife and children, Zack joins the Army. Not only because, you know, pay, but good insurance. So, while he's in the Army, his wife takes the 2 children and leaves. So now he's kind of depressed and lonely, and he finds himself also in the French Quarter. And it devastated him that, you know, his family's gone. He had done tours in Iraq and Kosovo, and he was considered a war hero, and he suffered from severe PTSD. And he needed help, but never got the help he needed. And one story that I do remember from the first episode was in one of the places he was in. That part I don't remember. Him and his squad had befriended a child in either Iraq or Kosovo. I don't remember. And they would bring this child candy, and it was kind of like an adopted situation. This child, and I don't know, male or female, kind of became like their child, I guess, because, you know, this child gets beheaded in front of Zack and his squad. So this left him severely depressed and kind of like fed into his PTSD, because this happened right in front of them. So now we get into where they meet. Zack and Addie meet when they are both bartending in the French Quarter. Does not say whether or not they were at the same bar.
Probably not.
Maybe
There's a lot of bars.
Maybe bartenders hang out afterwards at another bar. I don't know.
That's weird.
And Addie's way of flirting was kind of like that whole, oh, if they're mean to you, it's because they like you sort of thing. She was a mean girl. She kind of ran him through the ringer, but it was her way of flirting. And it was also kind of to test him to see what he could handle, I guess. And she had like a not so pretty side to her. She suffered from bipolar disorder and didn't take her medications regularly. And Zack and Addie's friends recall some outrageous fights that they would have, and that they would get into, and these were fueled by drugs and alcohol. So there's your addiction answers. Mm-hmm. I mean, nothing super secretive, but we were getting to it. But it was a good question. Their tumultuous, words are hard, relationship was basically destined for some destruction.
Usually is.
Yeah. So, they had been dating only a few weeks when Hurricane Katrina hit.
Oh.
Yeah. Zack and Addie decided to wait it out there, and it was a
catastrophic
Category 5.
Oh.
Storm. Hurricane.
Their fight or the hurricane?
Well, their fights, they're going to go to Hurricane 11. Because, yeah. We wouldn't be doing this story if it was a happy ending now, would we?
No.
No.
However, sometimes it'd be nice. No.
Yeah, sometimes it would be nice if we did a good story, but It's not really what we're here for, is it?
No.
So, yep, they'd been dating a few weeks. They decided to wait it out together. During the storm, they fell deeply in love. And they made a life for themselves. Kind of after the storm initially passed, they served up alcohol to people, and they scraped together meals for displaced people, and they fed people. They were photographed and interviewed for like national magazines, newspapers. They were like the king and queen of the French Quarter for a while. Excuse me. So I remember when Hurricane Katrina hit. I at that time was working for Rite Aid, and every customer that came in, we always asked them, "Would you like to donate to the hurricane relief?" kind of thing. And I remember, like, as the magazines and newspapers would come in, like, just seeing the pictures of the devastation, and sad shit. So yeah. At this, now after the storm, reality kind of sets back in, and now they got to get on with their life, and bills are starting to kind of add up, and they have jobs to get back to, and schedules. You know, now you're not just serving random people at random hours, food and alcohol, things like that. So now they have their responsibilities. Well, Zack has, if you remember, 2 responsibilities called children. And Addie wanted no part of the responsibility he has to his ex-wife, the responsibility he has to his children. She just wants Zack all to herself. And, of course, that's not going to go well. He is a father. So now the honeymoon phase, it's over. It's over. It's done. And the physical and emotional pain of abuse was mildly numbed by alcohol.
Ativan?
Alcohol. You make me need a Ativan. And drugs, which they began to consume over the next several months. Violent fights would erupt between Zack and Addie, and they began to drift apart. So they have a solution. Do you want to know what that is?
Break up?
No, let's get an apartment together. Let's make that commitment to...
Why did you just sound like an excited teenage girl?
I don't know. There's nothing exciting about the rest of this story. So they're looking for an apartment, and they find a for rent sign above the storefront of a voodoo temple.
Okay.
And it's on Rampart Street. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Rampart Street. It was available immediately. So...
It's cold in here.
Huh? It is a little chilly in here. Like, my hands are always the first thing to get cold on me. It's like, and that's been that way my whole life. My whole life.
God, like a dead person.
I know. It's crazy. So they take some months worth of tips and pay, and, you know, pay for whatever. Like, I know here it's like for...
I wish it costed an apartment in just tips.
Well, you gotta remember, this was...
In 05?
Yeah, like 05, 06. So, they take the tips, they make an offer, and they write... Get the fuck off me, goddamn hippie. Who raised you?
You!
I guess. So they move right
I
in.
didn't raise myself.
According to you, you did.
Mostly.
Shut the fuck up.
It's your workaholic ass.
I know. So no sooner do they start unpacking boxes when Addie makes a secret little trip to the landlord and wants only her name on the lease.
Sneaky bitch.
Yeah, well, she had discovered that Zack was not so faithful to her.
Okay. Slut.
And kind of decided that this is the last straw. You know, and considering she has kind of a rocky past with men, it was like, be all end all. You cheat, you're done. You're out. So the landlord wrote a handwritten contract and asked that Addie sort it all out in hopes they would get back together. Because, you know, the landlord...
Why? Was he fucking the landlord?
I don't know. But when Zack learns of this deception, of, you know, her going behind his back to the landlord, he became angry and inconsolable.
Well, stop putting your dick in things.
Right.
That ain't your girlfriend.
Right, exactly.
Dumbass.
So, I know people who listen to a true crime podcast do not need trigger warnings, but I'm going to give one.
Trigger.
Because this is where it gets a little ugly.
Ugly.
It gets ugly. So around 1 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, October 5th, 2006.
Words are hard.
Words are hard. 2006. Are you okay? All right. Anyway, woo, don't do that. He strangles Addie Hall to death. And in a drunken stupor, he falls asleep next to her corpse on the futon. Will you get off me now, please? Thanks.
Sick?
Sick.
You got sick on the brain.
2006. Well, yeah, I mean, we've all been sick.
Me more. Sick like 3 fucking times, dude.
So he fell asleep next to her corpse on the futon,
Nasty.
which we're on a futon.
Not this
He commits necrophilia. I got no words. And he gets up the next day and goes to work. Nothing happened. I didn't strangle somebody. I didn't. Okay. His co-workers remember him acting a little strange, wearing sunglasses and a hat and being very quiet, which was not his normal personality. Over the next several days, when he's home, Zack cuts up Addie's body in their bathtub with a hacksaw and a knife. And he dispersed pieces of her into and on the top of the stove for cooking, as well as the refrigerator. He gave her a haircut and placed her head inside of a pot on the front of the stove. He put her small feet and hands in another pot on the back burner of the stove.
Wait, why did I sense you looked at me when you said small hands and feet?
I might have. Show him your hands.
They see my hands all the time.
Okay, put it up against mine. And I have relatively small hands. I don't. Do you see the difference? Now show him your feet.
Dear Weedo.
Okay, so I got that out of my system. So, He puts her legs and arms in a roasting pan inside the oven. And then finally he put her torso in a black trash bag. And he just put it in the fridge to be dealt with later. Like, ain't nobody got time for a torso. Apparently...
my stomach suddenly is unsettled, and I kind of want to puke.
Yeah.
I don't think I should go to work today. I text Dawn and tell her I have a setback.
Yeah, okay. Stop it. Don't. I'm a sympathetic puker, and I will do it too. Don't. Stop it.
Yeah.
Apparently, his intentions were to... I told you, trigger warning. So you knew.
No. I really didn't know how much of a trigger warning I needed. Didn't tell me I was going to need a basket.
Yeah, so his intentions were to separate the flesh from the bone to easily handle disposing of her. A lot of people at the time said there was maybe some intention of cannibalism. But the autopsy confirms there was no sign of that at all. So when Addie's friends and co-workers asked where she was when they saw or called Zack, he would tell them that she went to North Carolina. He's a liar and a cheater and a killer and a dismemberer. Some people were surprised that she would go to North Carolina because of how much she loved living in the French Quarter. So they were like really surprised that she would do that.
Surprised, but yet believed it?
Yes, because she could be very unpredictable. So they were shocked, but not like they didn't question it because she was a little out there. So of course they have no, and I'm sorry if you can hear the assholes in the background.
They were just playing around. Now it turned serious as usual. That's why I tell them not to associate.
Yep. So on Tuesday, October 17th, 2006.
Oh, you said it right. Mm-hmm. Impressive.
Nearly 2 weeks after the murder, Zack commits one more act of violence by jumping to his own death from the 7th floor of the Omni Royal Orleans Hotel. He left a handwritten note and his army dog tags inside of a plastic bag in his back pocket. In his back pocket were also the gate keys to Addie's apartment in his front pocket. And the letter to police only led the detectives to the home of Zack and Addie's landlord for questioning. Once there, they were pointed to the apartment. They quickly discovered that the contents of Zack's letter was in fact true. There were still unopened, unpacked, boxes that were still packed. They hadn't been unpacked yet. The first thing they noticed was the temperature and a lack of the smell. The air conditioner was set to 60 degrees and on full blast. Kind of like a meat locker. There was no smell of rotting flesh.
It's 'cause she's in the fridge, and the rest of her was cooked.
It doesn't necessarily say she was cooked. It just said she was in a pot to be cooked. On the walls in silver spray paint were the words, "I love her," "I'm a total failure," excuse me, and "look in the oven," pointing to the stove door. with it had an arrow pointing to the. What detectives discovered next? Probably will stay with them the rest of their lives as they opened the pots and the heavy refrigerator door. Why is ice so loud? That's my question.
Because
Ice is...
Bentley's putting it in the fucking container.
Okay, so now I'm going to quote his words in the letters. This is not accidental. I had to take my own life to pay for the one I took. If you send a patrol car to 826 North Rampart, you will find the dismembered corpse of my girlfriend Addie in the oven, on the stove, and in the fridge, and a full signed confession from myself. Signed by Zach Bowen. That was how the letter in his pocket started out. At the scene of Addie's murder, police found her journal with writings that Zack had added. And that says, quote, today is Monday, 16 October, 2 a.m. I killed her at 1 a.m., Thursday, October 5th. I very calmly strangled her. It was very quick. Halfway through the task, I stopped and thought about what I was doing. The decision to halt the first idea and move to Plan B, the crime scene you are now in, came a while after. I scared myself, not by the action of calmly strangling the woman I've loved for 1.5 years, but then desecrating her body, but by my entire lack of remorse. I've known forever how horrible of a person I am. Ask anyone. I decided to quit my jobs and spend the $1,500 cash I had being happy until I killed myself. So that's what I did. Good food, good drugs, good strippers, good friends, and any loose ends I may have had. I didn't contact any of my family, so that'll explain the shock. And had a fantastic time living out my days. It's just about time now. So, days before Zach Bowen murdered Addie Hall, they moved into the infamous fuck words today. They're so hard.
Aren't they, though?
The infamous apartment at 826 North Rampart Street, above the Priestess Miriam's Voodoo Spiritual Temple, a well-respected and cultural establishment of New Orleans. Many would later claim the dark voodoo history.
You know what? I was about to say, I'm surprised he took accountability. I'm surprised to say that, somebody, put a curse on him.
Right. And, if you got to give him credit for anything, it's the fact that he did take the accountability and didn't blame it.
Right. I'm surprised, though.
Surprised. Very surprised. Very, very, very surprised. But a lot of people would later claim that this had something to do, and then of course Zach had mental illness with the depression and the PTSD.
Right. And it's like with PTSD, it's like, why, after what he witnessed, would he even remotely think of dismembering her at all after watching that little child?
And maybe that's why he did it. I mean, if that was... I don't know if that was the cause of his PTSD, but it definitely fueled it.
Yeah.
So maybe that was why he took to dismembering her. So... I am so sorry, people. Zach's overwhelming mental illness and the violent outburst that they both had in their relationship.
She's fucking laughing.
She's doing that screechy thing. It's pure coincidence that these unrelated matters kind of aligned, being, living above a voodoo temple. voodoo in general is actually a healing and kind spiritual practice that is well respected in the city. So the darkness has little to do with Addie Hall as the murder victim. It just complicated things. But simply put, this is a case of severe domestic violence turned criminal. There's nothing supernatural about that. Zack and his own personal demons kind of took over what was left of any humanity, sanity that he had, and caused him to end the life of his girlfriend and eventually himself. So the Voodoo Temple, we're going to talk a little bit about that, was founded in 1990 by Priestess Miriam and her then husband, Priest... Excuse me, I'm still suffering with the dry cough. With her then husband, Priest Aswan Shamani, and they moved to the Rampart Street location about a year later in 1991 and remained there until February of 2016, and that's when a fire broke out and destroyed pretty much most of the building. The temple itself had been there for nearly 26 years. The traditional Creole cottage was much older. It was built in 1829 by, and I'm going to butcher this, so I'm sorry in advance, Pierre de Vargas, and handed down and sold over the years. 826 North Rampart Street is listed on the city's registry of historic places. Much of its innards, stairways, walls, floors, balconies, and it's a unique courtyard, and that was once used for voodoo ritual and continued tradition by Miriam. But the living quarters are original to the historic building. I did not save any photos to my, but this is like a cartooned version of one of the photos of Zack and Addie. So tenants of the apartment above the temple since the horrific tragedy have experienced some paranormal activity, feelings of being watched, voices, and
losing feeling of your limbs.
You are a dick. Who raised you?
You!
Jesus. That was terrible, you ass hat.
You know it was good.
Feelings of being watched, voices, and walls pressing in. I don't quite know what that means, but...
Closing in?
It says pressing in.
People are weird.
I would think closing in, but...
What about limbs? Anybody say anything about their limbs? Maybe stop feeling them from your knees down? Just wondering.
Okay. After the fight, the building is currently being leased by another voodoo priestess who has turned it into a museum of the paranormal with tours of the apartment. So she's the one.
Oh.
There are articles about her about how it's very distasteful. I don't remember word for word what the articles say.
Why? Distasteful? How?
Again, I don't remember word for word. I just know.
How is that any different than Madam? What's her nuts's?
Look, I don't know.
House.
LaLaurie?
Yeah.
I don't think you could go in there anymore, though.
I know, but how is that any different? It wasn't distasteful.
I don't know.
With all the slaves she had.
I don't know. I don't remember word for word what the article said. I just remember people not
agreeing
with the way she handles her tours.
Oh, the way she handles nothing towards himself.
Zach Bowen was active duty member of the military. Is Iraq and Kosovo pre 9/11 and immediately following the tragedy. He was traumatized by a fellow soldier's death along with that child that he saw. And the child was killed for the relationship that they had with the American soldiers. He also developed a severe and painful case of hammer toe.
What the fuck is that?
I don't know exactly what hammer toe is. I've heard of it. I've never looked into it. Don't know what the details are, but I've heard it is very painful. So he purposely failed a health and fitness test so he could go be with his family. His wife was diagnosed with hepatitis C and was very ill, and he was generally discharged, so therefore he lost all the health benefits. And
so how the fuck she get that?
I don't know. Maybe him sticking his dick in other people. I don't fucking know. So 1 in 4, I'm just going to shed this to light. 1 in 4 active duty members of the military show signs of a mental health condition that needs to be treated. And the 3 major ones are obviously PTSD, depression, and TBI, which is traumatic brain injury. Zach was struggling with PTSD. He was traumatized by the city post-Katrina. It had a major effect on his state of mind, which was already pretty sensitive. So as the days, weeks, months went on, plus his alcohol abuse and drug abuse, it definitely kind of, because he didn't seek help, it kind of really led to Addie's demise and his demise. So that is pretty much, there is a documentary, and I do remember watching this, I think after the initial episode, where, you know, it was, let me see if I can find the name, but, like, their friends were interviewed for this documentary, and again, I'm not seeing the name, but then people who were in this documentary also really kind of fucked up after the documentary. So one of them that was interviewed she considered them her best, Zack and Addie, her best friends. Her name was Margaret Sanchez. And Margaret pleaded guilty and was subsequently convicted in 2012. The 2012 death and dismemberment of Jaron Lockhart, a Bourbon Street dancer and young mother. Yeah. So, was it something in the water? Margaret and her boyfriend, who she knew as Alan at the time, went to a gentleman's club and lured Jaron with the promise of good money for a private performance. They took her to their home, stabbed her in the chest.
So it's premeditated.
I would think. Stabbed her in the chest, cut up her body, threw it over a bridge.
But why?
Terry Speaks, aka Alan, the boyfriend, was a registered sex offender from North Carolina who violated his probation and had a long history that Margaret knew nothing about. In 2015, he was convicted of second-degree murder following a trial where he fired his attorney and took up his own defense. Never do that. Never. I mean, unless you are a licensed lawyer, licensed with the bar, however that goes.
Or at least took the bar exam.
Or at least had some type of training. And look, we are all graduates of Law and Order.
Yes.
That does not mean I'm going to defend myself. If anything, that has taught me, if I fuck up, you hire an attorney.
Right.
Don't do that yourself. Don't be stupid. Margaret was later sentenced to 40 years plus 20 for second-degree murder charge, as well as the obstruction of justice and conspiracy to commit murder.
It was premeditated.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they could fight for it wasn't premeditated. Maybe they were going to pay her for some shit. I would say maybe at the very least, maybe like some sexual assault. But maybe she fought back and that's when they decided to take it further. I don't know. I've never looked into that case, but maybe it'd be worth looking into. But Sanchez and Speaks, aka Allen, were identified by surveillance video dated June 6th, 2012, from the club that Jaron worked at. One of the employees of the club reported Speaks as he recognized him as a previous employee of the club. So, okay.
So he must have already knew her.
Yeah. And this employee said that he remembers Jaron leaving with Alan and Margaret. And the video was apparently broadly distributed by local news, and Margaret's own brother is who reported them to the authorities. Good for him.
Yes.
Good for him. You know, she probably fucking broke one of his toys when he was like 6. And that's how he got
It
back
was
at
revenge.
her.
Alright, bitch. I got you.
Bet. Say less. Anyway, when Sanchez was interviewed...
Mom.
What?
You're
Nope.
going into a whole nother case. And I gotta go.
You got time.
I want to go to the store to get something to eat.
So Sanchez was interviewed and was aware of the dancer's death. And since it was broadcast on the local news, she related how it was similar to how her best friend died. So,
What the fuck?
yeah. And then just to find out that she was one of the perpetrators of the dancer's death and dismemberment. Yeah.
You know, it's funny though. What happened to her best friend happened October 5th, and she did this June 6th.
Yeah. Crazy. Crazy.
But 6 years later.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah. So that is the case. And like I said, Southern Fried True Crime, Jesus fuck, did a 2-part deep dive on this case. Highly recommend it. Actually, there's been a couple of the episodes. Oh God. A couple episodes I did that I got from listening to that. And one of them I would like to redo in the future, because it was a good... No, and I tried to read the book for that one, and I just can't do it. And that's the Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Good movie, but the book just dances around so many things.
Just dances around so many things.
It does. I don't know. It jumps, and I couldn't get into it, and it was very difficult. But that is the case of Zack and Addie, and a little bit of Margaret and Terry. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll look that up and do a deep dive on that one. So, there you have it. Now, get your fucking ass something to eat and go to work. Get my hair. And me and Daddy are going out to dinner.
Hey.
I'm excited. excited.
Ugly so.
You're so ugly. Anyway. Glad you're feeling better. Glad you can smell some things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it a thing for you to, like, after just being done getting sick, is it a thing for when you get up for work to just have PTSD and feel sick all over again?
Oh, I do that every day.
Especially if that's where you got sick. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a real thing. Okay.
Yeah, I would think it would be.
Because, like, right now I'm feeling very...
Yep, I get it.
rock myself back and forth into a corner.
Yeah. So on that note, like I said, go get something to eat and go to work. I don't even want to know what the fuck's going on out there.
I don't either.
So, yeah, I guess take care of yourself, and we will see you next time.
And don't dismember anybody.
Yeah, don't do that. And if you do, don't take your own defense.
No, don't do that.
All right. Bye.
Bye.